Hey, Chris.
Hey, Rod.
I got a question for you.
No way.
Yes, I do.
Ooh.
Question is, what do you do when you're taking care of someone and they're sick? And who do you call and what do you do when you need to take a break?
Oof. Boy, that is something I really needed and didn't know anything about until the very, very end. So I'm excited that tonight we get to talk to somebody who can help us figure that out.
Hey, this is Rod.
And this is Chris.
We are Unqualified
And Unsupervised.
the show where two guys try to figure out life after loss with no experts, no scripts, just experience.
We're going to have the unfiltered conversations about hard topics that no one wants to talk about, but everyone should. Coming from a couple of guys who were forced to join a club we didn't want to join. Yo, Rod. So how interesting was your week this week?
Wow, that I've had to think about that.
Yeah?
I think the weather is the big deal. That it's so hot.
Been hot.
Yeah.
Which I love.
My bigger question is, I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
You've been out bike riding in
I
all
have.
of this. So
I have,
What's
yes.
What's that been like?
It was wonderful. We were up in Minnesota, mountain biking at the Cuyuna State Recreation Area. Love those trails. We got an Airbnb where we could ride in, ride out. So it's just like I could get up in the morning,
Great.
walk outside, jump on my bike, and boom, I'm on the trails.
So
But
I saw a picture that you posted.
Uh-huh.
And it was, okay, so is it a bike trail and brewery? Because I mean, it sounds like a place that has their own tappers in the room.
you know, the brewery was a different place.
Oh, okay, but
Yeah.
it's the same name.
Yeah, the name of the brewery was Cuyuna Brewing.
Yeah, okay.
So Cuyuna is kind of like the area. It's the old iron mines.
Oh,
Open
okay.
pit iron mines up there.
Because I thought, okay, they go there because they have beer in the room, ready to go on tap.
Yeah, not quite.
Wouldn't that be a good idea,
That
though?
would be a good idea.
Like work out a deal, and I don't know how you would monitor it though. That'd be interesting. Like by the ounces, like they put so many, like put a keg in there, and then
as a service by the Airbnb.
Right, and then you buy the keg.
Sure.
You know that way because like, hey, the keg's gonna be $30.
Or at the end they just charge you for whatever you drank
Well,
or whatever. Yeah.
But that's what they do with honor bars in hotels.
Sure. Yeah.
They could
easily do that.
They could have their own refrigerator
Yeah,
right there.
yeah.
Put the keg in it.
Yeah, I don't know how the liquor laws would think about that, but also where we stayed, the brewery was only 5 blocks away.
Oh
so.
yeah, that's walkable. You can do that.
Yeah.
No, it's been just a good time. Spending time at the pool.
Oh, I suppose it's that time of year.
Yeah, the kids are doing really well.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
And in this heat, it's kind of nice to be there and
Yes.
at the pool.
I don't know if you noticed, but I got a tattoo.
I did not notice.
Yeah, I got tatted up.
It's sparkly.
It's a mermaid.
A mermaid, not a merman.
No. It's kind of cute.
Significance?
They had what was called Princess Night at the pool, and they hired these young ladies. I think it's called Princess Parties out of Des Moines.
Okay.
And they looked like Disney characters, but they were mermaids. I'll show you the pictures later.
Yeah, okay.
And they're very young girls. They're very pretty,
Uh-huh.
and they wear their makeup like that. They have look like mermaids. They have like the mermaid
the whole
outfits
suit
on,
and kit and
and
caboodle thing.
they were delightful. I went over to offer them see if they needed any water or anything like that, and they were giving out these tattoos. And I said, "How do I get a tattoo?" So they had the little piece
so
of
it's a
paper.
temporary tattoo.
Yes, it's not. Yeah, but it's
man, I thought you actually jumped off the deep end and got one.
No, I'm not that brave. And there was a guy that had a full chest tattoo, and I said to him, I said, "I'm not as brave as you." And he just kind of laughed at me. But they're
you know what though? When it comes to tattoos, it's not about bravery. It's about when you finally find something that means something to you, and you want to memorialize that.
Yeah, and I haven't found that.
Yeah, so
I'm literally I can't imagine what I would want on my body so permanently, forever.
Right, and you may never find something, and that's okay.
Yeah,
one day you'll be like, oh my God, that's what it is.
Well, what's interesting, because I grew up in an era where tattoos were signified with like bad guys,
right?
Like it was a distinguishing remark. Like if a police sent out a call, it's like he's got a tattoo on his left forearm that says mother,
right,
and with an anchor, that kind of thing.
Right.
And now it's the opposite way. It's like, he doesn't have a tattoo. Oh, we'll find him.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Right. Oh, it must be Rod.
oh, he's the one, right? You know, so it's flipped the other way
So
in
now
my
they're
lifetime.
chasing you down because you don't have tattoos.
Yeah, like he's
Yeah.
easy identifiable because he doesn't have a tattoo.
Right.
Got it.
It is getting that way. You know, I'm really glad all of mine are very unique to me and
Right.
mean something to me. I don't have like the belly button ones that everybody gets.
Right.
Or, you
Right.
know.
Well, I got a question for you about these.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because, okay, with time, the color it fades, right? So
I don't know.
will you have
Maybe.
to redo these, like freshen them up?
I do get I get free like touch ups here and there if they do start to fade a little bit.
Right. But
Go
I was
back,
looking at the
but-
color,
Yeah.
like because the sun will fade it, you know,
Yeah.
because like it bleaches them out or whatever. And I just wondered if you've.
And my skin's tanned now, so the color doesn't necessarily pop like it does in the
Oh.
winter.
Oh, okay. So,
So-
so from winter to summer, it'll change.
Yeah.
Ah.
Well, it has so far. I don't know if it's supposed to or not, but
Oh, okay. Well, I've heard of people
not an
having theirs refreshed because they use a lot of color,
oh yeah,
and it's worth it because it keeps them alive
Yep.
or whatever.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
anyway.
Not really as interesting a week as you normally have.
Nope.
Just
Nope.
a normal week. That's all right.
I mean, well, let's put it this way: my therapist got all the good, juicy stuff. So
Oh,
yeah. So I'm
sure.
sorry.
Give it to him. Jeez.
absolutely.
Thanks for trusting me.
Yeah, I taped it though. I could play it.
Oh,
later.
hey,
I'll
there we
play it
go.
later for you. Yeah.
All right, maybe we can make that as special content if people want to subscribe. And,
well, he actually had a suggestion for us.
oh, did
My
he?
therapist. Yeah.
Okay.
So when we get done, we'll talk about it.
Oh, you're not going to share it with?
Nope.
Okay.
No, because it's a concept.
Oh,
I have an idea of a concept.
An
I don't.
idea.
I don't have an actually. I don't really have a
all right.
plan.
You got an idea
I
of
have
an idea.
I have
of
a
an
concept of an idea.
Idea. Okay. All right. We'll workshop it and figure it out.
Yep. There we go.
Awesome. So what are we doing tonight? Who are
Well,
we talking to?
We are talking to Dr. Sterling Laaveg,
Okay.
and he's a retired orthopedic surgeon from Mason City.
Okay.
And he lives in Arizona primarily, but he's here at his lake home. And I had a conversation with him the other day about him doing respite care and how he,
Oh,
you know,
sure.
and I thought, you know, we've got to interview you while you're in town. So
Right.
that's what we're going after tonight is
Okay.
respite care and how important that is.
It is, and I think that's something. I mean, I didn't know about it for almost 5 years, going through the whole process,
Which
with,
is sad.
With Janice, right? If I'd known, man, that would have made things so much better.
Right.
So yeah, I'm glad that he's involved in that and doing that, and I hope we can get the word out and get more people hooked up with that and get that help.
Absolutely. That's why we're doing it. I want to put a spotlight on respite care because of how important it is to the families and how it is to them, to the volunteers.
Right. So I think we'll let him describe what exactly that is and what it means because he can probably
Yep.
do it better than we can.
I think he'll do good. So, Chris, we have
Yeah.
a very interesting guest tonight.
We do. I'm really excited about
Yep.
this.
We have Dr. Sterling Laaveg, who is a retired physician. And he, when he came for a haircut the other day,
Oh,
informed me
that's where
that-
you ran into
I
him.
did, yeah.
Ah, okay.
It was meant to be.
It
to be.
was.
Well, what he didn't know or maybe didn't realize, but I had cut his brother's hair for
no way.
years. Yes. So I've had a connection to his family, and I know his other brother who is a minister. And so
Wow.
I'm now connected with pretty much every
All of
branch
them.
of this family. But anyway,
Excellent.
he was telling me about his work with respite care in
Yes.
Arizona. And I thought we need to put a spotlight on that.
We do. We
And how
absolutely
important
do.
it is. So,
Yes.
so tonight we have Dr. Laaveg with us. Sterling, welcome to our show. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you.
So did I cover it? Did I capture it all?
You did.
Oh, okay. So well, let's launch into this. Tell us how you got involved with respite care.
While I was still practicing in Mason City before I had to retire with some physical problems, primarily my back. It's hard to be an orthopedic surgeon with a bad back lifting people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. But I was on the hospice board for North Iowa, the one that Ann McGregor, the nurse, was Dr. McGregor's wife, who set up and organized and actually was a national president with hospice for a period of time.
Anne was?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Did you ever? Okay, I'm gonna butt in right away here on this one.
Yeah.
Chris, did you ever meet Anne?
I did get a chance to meet her.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, she was
amazing woman.
wonderful,
And-
wonderful. I didn't know that part about her. I just knew that she had a lot to do with
Well, I bet
starting.
she was good at it too.
starting
Being on a-
this hospice. I think she was, definitely a force behind it. So anyway, I that's a rabbit hole we go down. But anyway, go on. Tell us more.
So, and when I moved to Arizona for the winters, which ends up being about 8.5, 9 months a year. We come back every summer to Clear Lake. Still have a cottage here that the grandkids like to come to. But I was a little bored without being involved with patient care in some way.
Yes.
And I contacted Hospice of the Valley, which is also a long-standing hospice in Phoenix and Scottsdale, Arizona. And they specialize primarily in people who were nearing the end of life, most of the time with cancer problems. And they were starting to do more and more end-stage heart disease problems. And then they've now gotten into dementia as well. So they are covering all the end stage of life, really, for all kinds of people in different categories. And sometimes all of those sort of go together and merge in terms of the problems for the individual. And I explored, since I'd been on a board of hospice and knew quite a bit about it, I just contacted them and asked if they needed volunteers. They said they did. They said, no, we don't need any board members. That's just fine. But they said, what we need most of all is respite care. And I said, you got to tell me what respite care is. I'm uncertain of that in hospice.
Right.
And respite care amounted to, they looked at it directly and said, it has to do with caring for the caregiver. So you can come into the home, wherever the person is that is part of hospice in terms of hospice care, and give that spouse or that daughter or that family friend that's there almost every day, taking care of everything, time to go out and have coffee, go to the bank, mail letters, go sit in the park and meditate, whatever they want to do. And you give roughly 4 to 5 hours per week. And they called me up, and we developed a relationship with 1 or 2 people that I would take care of through those weeks. And we negotiate between the patient and the care team in terms of the family care team, what days would work and what times would work. And so it was a very interesting part that I had never done. So basically, it was a pause for the caregiver, so somebody could come in and they could leave, and it allowed them to have less guilt of trying to all of a sudden run over the bank and be gone for an hour and a half or whatever.
Yeah, see, that was my big question. Like, how much time is devoted? And it sounds like you work that out with the family, because it could be more than 4 or 5 hours, right? It could be whatever you want to give as well, right? As a caregiver.
Well, no, the short answer to that is no. The Hospice of the Valley didn't want that at all. They said, look, if you're going to do this is not easy stuff in the end.
Sure.
And honestly, we don't want to disrupt our hospice respite caregivers' time completely. So if you think about it, 2 4-hours sessions with different people in a week, that's 8 hours out of their week. So consequently, they didn't want that. In fact, it was a no-no to them.
Oh, wow.
That makes sense, because you don't want to burn out the respite caregivers either when everybody else is getting burned out. I mean, and it's not only difficult physically, but it's difficult emotionally to go in there, I would think.
Yes, it is. Yes, it varies, but yes.
So a quick question.
What I do, go ahead.
No, I was wondering. Now I lost the question.
That's all right.
That's my age maybe showing up. I'll come back to the question, but anyway, you were gonna say something.
So what would you do? Well, you do whatever that patient wanted in that 4 hours that you were there. You talk to them if they wanted. They get tired. They started to go to sleep. You'd sit there and read a book while they were doing that.
Right. Just as long as there was a person there. Yes.
Yes, that was yes. So if they needed you, you were there. Uh, I had patients who wanted me to sing with them.
Oh,
Oh,
I had
fun.
patients who wanted me to read to them. Yeah. I
Mhm.
had patients who wanted to discuss politics and all the indications. I had patients who were very upset about the fact that they were having to deal with these end of life stages, and you sit and talk to them through some of that stuff. We were asked, in fact, it was one of the rules that you could be supportive of people's spiritual side of their life and existence, but no evangelicalism. So
right, right,
they
Mm.
didn't want Catholicism, Buddhism, or the Islamic religion. You didn't want to disturb those people's faith. If they wanted to talk about it in general sense, that was not a problem. You could do that. But
right, right.
That makes sense.
Generalities, yeah,
Well, don't impose your own views and biases on them at this
and vice
and
versa.
vice versa. Yeah.
Yeah.
yes,
So
yes,
that separation. Okay, I came up with my
Yeah.
question.
I'm ready.
At what stage in the person's illness are you called in as a respite care person? Is it like Chris said, it was brought in the last few months of Janice's illness, where like when is a person called in to help with respite? Is it at the beginning of at the diagnosis, or does it come in later, or what stage are you called
It,
in?
it varies, and it varies a lot depending upon the individual patient and the family. And often it may start off that they really don't want anything more than what's going on in the beginning. And, after a week, they say,
Mhm.
gee, this is quite intense in terms of not letting whoever the caregiver was to get away from this and have a pause and take care of the day-to-day life things that the caregiver had to do for the family or for themselves. So the family would say, I think we're ready for that. How does this happen? And the team would show them how it would happen, and they would set it up. I almost never had a female patient that I was a caregiver, except a couple where the husband said, "I don't care," and she said, "I don't care." So you'd help some of them
Sure.
with bathroom details, all those types of things.
Right?
Uh, but in general, I was with male patients needing respite care, and the family liked it that way, and it was fine for me as well.
Did it matter that you had a medical background?
It was good and bad. I didn't have any problem
Okay.
with it, but it's amazing the extraneous questions people have when they've never had a doctor sit there for 4 hours and they have questions. But in general, I would not be evasive, but I certainly wasn't going to talk to people about their very delicate cardiac choices of their cardiologist and what is the best medication and things like that for them,
Right.
because that was way out of my area.
Sure. And I'm sure if they're sitting there that long with a doctor, they're going to ask questions to make sure that
Right.
they feel like they're actually getting the best care that they're supposed to be getting, or they're not getting, you know.
That's true.
Yeah,
And
I would have. I'd
and
have totally done that.
yeah, well, eh, but as people who know and take care of people who have end of life care, there are gastrointestinal problems, there are sleep
Right.
problems, there are
Well, right.
depression problems, there
Yes.
are energy problems, there are what medications are doing to me. There are,
Mm-hmm.
I now need to suction out this man who has amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's disease, and he needs to have suction out of his mouth or out of his uh, tube who is allowing him to breathe. All of those things went on. And so respite care was okay doing any and all of that, plus providing uh, time to talk, time to ignore me, time to do whatever they wanted to do with that afternoon
Right.
or that morning.
Well, something you said earlier
Mm-hmm.
about the male female thing leads me to a question of how do they match you up? Because I imagine sometimes personalities don't line up, and like how are the patients and you, the respite care person, how are you matched up? Does hospice do that, or how does that all work?
Well, I had a couple contact people from the team at the main office in Hospice of the Valley, and they arranged several of these, obviously, so that was part of their job.
Right.
They got to know me, and they started to know patients, and usually the team that went out there would start to probably discuss, you know, what kind of respite care person would be okay with you, and probably do a small questionnaire. But I never saw that questionnaire, so I don't know exactly how they did it. But they'd call up and they'd say, "Gee, Dr. Laaveg, I think that we have a patient that would be a great patient for respite care. And would you be able to do that?" And I'd
Yes.
say, "Okay, how many miles do I have to go?" And not that it would make a huge difference, but if you have to travel an hour one way, that was getting a little difficult.
Right. So there was
But
there was some vetting going on. They were working on matching caregivers to the people that needed the care then.
yes, they did.
Okay. All right. Was there ever a time where you didn't, where you walked in like, nah, this isn't going to go?
I don't think I ever turned any of them down from me personally. And I honestly didn't have any of them say, "Get this guy out of here."
Don't come back.
Yeah. But no, that's just curious, like how, because like I said, because if they want to talk politics or religion and all these subjects, that can be very touchy stuff.
Well, you didn't, yes. And so that took a little finesse on my part at times to skirt around some of the stuff.
Right. You need to
Change the topic.
sidestep
Yeah.
some things. Yeah, that's a good
Sure.
idea. So what are some stories that you have about your care? Like what are some things that went really, really well? And what did you discover along the way about people in going through their dealing with their mortality, dealing with their death, dealing with not being in existence anymore? What were some of those things?
Some of it had to do with the process of actual death,
Okay.
asking questions about that. So some of
yeah.
them would have read a little bit about Shane Stokes' respiration at the end of life. Some people said, I think I'm ready to go be with whatever my God or religion is. I'm comfortable with that. Some people were not. And so you needed to talk about, well, maybe we need to have somebody from your spiritual uh, part of your life come and talk to you a bit, which happens sometimes. Some patients, how death is going to happen sometimes really bothered him. I don't mind if I'm dying, I'm ready to go, but I can't stand the idea of choking to death and being awake. Those types of things.
Like,
So
what does death look like? What's my passing going to look like?
and the trouble is you can't always predict.
Right.
And a
That's
lot
a
of
big
people
question.
would love to have the big bang. Okay, it's tomorrow. Boom. I'm
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Janice
well,
used to talk about that too, how it was going to feel. And was she going to be aware of it when it happened?
Right. That's a big
And,
question.
And is that fear and panic going to take over at the last moment? And
Right.
And I don't know if it did or not. I mean, she was sedated in hospice house, so I'm assuming it didn't. But
that's exactly what happens with hospice care. They part of their care is for the caretaker and the family, but they are specifically trying to decrease anxiety as well as deal with pain, and use that chemistry term titrate the amount of sedation so that their anxiety isn't over the top or their depression isn't, and at the same time control their pain.
Right. So okay, I've got a couple questions actually, and one of them is a statement. About a month and a half before Jeff died, his primary came in, and And Dr. Mark Johnson was absolutely the best person for Jeff. And Jeff, I think, was curious about what his passing would look like. And Mark described it. He said, with Jeff in his case, he said, your energy is just going to drop. You'll probably start sleeping more, and you'll do these things. And Jeff is on already a myriad of different drugs. And that's why we chose hospice, because I knew that the medications that they would use would do exactly that.
Right.
There's no anxiety. There's no gasping for air. There's none of those things. And Mark nailed it. He said what he told Jeff. I think Jeff came to accept it and understand it, because Jeff did really well with knowledge.
Sure.
And that is exactly what happened.
Janice did too.
You know,
she had to know.
Yeah, and knowing that you're just going to sleep, because Jeff, there'd be in a conversation, he'd fall asleep. He didn't even know he fell asleep, which was a good sign for me, because I just knew that he wasn't going to be aware of it.
Right.
You know, so I think Mark helped him understand what his passing would feel like, what it would look like, and I don't know, Dr. Laaveg, if were you ever in that situation where you had to go through that with someone to help them understand what their passing would look like?
What you mean in my respite care times?
Yes. Sure.
Yeah. Yes, but let me talk first about Mark Johnson. Mark Johnson was a fantastic physician for his entire time here, and I know he's retired now. But
in May.
I can't say enough nice about him.
I'm in choir with him, and he's a happy camper, absolutely. But absolutely, wonderful doctor.
But sometimes the other thing that happens that the family has trouble with, they're sleeping a lot. He doesn't want to eat. He doesn't even want to drink.
Right.
And that's bothering them. And you can allay some of their fears and explain it, and often ask them to talk to the nurses and talk to the physician who is doing the day-to-day hospice care about things like that, so that they can do that. You try and reassure them that that part of hospice mission is to make the quality and the end-of-life care the best it can be.
Yes.
And that we're going to take care of you and your family with dignity for the importance of your life.
Well, and that's the best part too. It's not just the patient. I mean, they took care of us too,
right?
The family.
I was going to say, I felt very.
Yep.
I felt like I knew what his wishes were. Mm-hmm. I knew I was following through with what he wanted, and I felt like he was still in charge of everything that happened to him. And I felt really a great satisfaction knowing that he was still a participant in his own care and his own passing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that's important. Not everybody can have that.
Right. Well, we talked about it when he got sick. Right. I mean, I asked him one time, I said, do you want me to be there when you pass away? And he said, yes. So I let him know in moments when there was nobody around. I talked with him. I let him know, I reassured him I was there. And I don't know if that made a real difference, because he was kind of in a kind of semi-conscious state. All I know is that I did what I held to my agreement with him, that I was with him when he passed. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I can say enough about Dr. Johnson. But he went a long way in helping Jeff to understand what was going to happen. And so Jeff was educated. He did well with the information, and I think that also helped him maybe go over some hurdles about like death is not scary. It's a transition.
Yeah, sure.
And he did in the last week. He did stop eating, and I do remember though his last alcohol.
Of course you did.
Not that I was there for that, but there were special moments.
And what was it?
Okay,
you can't throw that out there. Know what it was.
I'll tell you what it is. It was an early morning, and they had called me. His daughters were there, staying with him, and I went out to the nursing home.
And what was the alcohol?
It was, we called it a Rosie's Special.
Okay.
And it was a drink that his mother developed when they owned a bar in Tripoli.
Oh.
And nice. It was cream de menthe and peppermint schnapps. It's very green
Wow.
and it's very tasty.
That's a lot of mint going on.
It's a lot of mint. But anyway, it's 4:00 in the morning. I had the stuff in the room, and the girls, I made them up, and we took, the swabs that they use for hospital, to wet their tongue and everything.
Yep.
So we dipped one of those into the drink, and he licked his lips, and he just had his countenance over him. He just had this smile on his face.
Well.
And so we had this moment.
Yeah, smell and taste is powerful.
It was, and it was just this moment. I hope the girls never forget that. But it's 4:00 in the morning, and we're drinking in the room.
You know what? Live while you can.
Absolutely, and it was perfect. It was a great moment. But,
sure. Well, to the point that you're talking about, the education and knowing. So,
yes.
Dr. Laaveg, did you ever find that there were patients that didn't want to know?
Oh, yes.
You know, and
they were angry.
Oh,
I mean,
bet.
really angry.
What was the anger? Talk about the anger? What's that? I mean, I understand it, but explain it to us.
That life was not fair to them.
Okay.
And that they weren't ready to die, so they were angry. And they, depending upon the situation, and if they have dementia, which is the other piece of this, anger is often a part of dementia.
Oh, sure.
And
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big time. And they can get aggressive when they're very angry. I didn't have any of those episodes happen.
Good.
But they're just, and you could talk through some of the stuff. And sometimes they'd rail against the care that they had gotten from whatever physician or hospital, blame them that I am dying because they made a mistake or things like that. But so you listen mainly and try and talk them through some of the stuff. But that sometimes happened.
Sure.
Not as often as you might expect. But.
Well, that's good. But I would think for you personally, that's also a difficult thing to go in there and deal with, to talk to them about that and deal with that. And then you have to leave and go home and you still have that memory of that.
Right. But I can.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I just understand the anger. They feel cheated.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is not fair. I'm not ready. I've got things to do, that kind of thing.
Correct.
Anyway.
It is. On the other hand, if you're going to do things like hospice respite care, you have to be able to go home and set it aside. So you have to compartmentalize some of that stuff. It's not that you don't want to come back. On the other hand, you don't want to dwell on it at 2:00 in the morning and have it affect the other parts of your life that are important. So sometimes let it rise up in your brain, and maybe you get some insight that you can use the next time you're there, and try a couple other choices in terms of how to approach that if that individual is still angry and irritated.
So as you brought it up earlier, that the patients having a male hospice care person or a respite care person versus a female. So it raises a question for me: do women in respite care approach it differently than men?
I'm almost certain that they do.
Well, how so? Like, what would be an example of how a woman would deal with? And it's not about sexism, but I wonder if women, because women, when you talk about compartmentalizing, I believe that men compartmentalize easier than women do.
That may be true.
We might get phone calls on that one.
Yeah,
that's okay.
You keep talking, Rod.
That's okay. But no, but it raised the question: does the gender matter in respite care?
Well, if the family thinks it does, then they wouldn't have had me be there.
Right. Then it does.
And it does. So now, some women would probably be a whole lot better at some of the things of respite care than I could have been. And on the other hand, I may have been better than some women in certain situations for that particular patient.
Right.
But I'm never going to know that. And So my goal always was, whether I'm playing games with them or whether we're talking or reviewing a book or discussing where life was, many of them wanted to know where I came from. They wanted to know about my life. They wanted to know how many jobs I had before I got to medical school. They wanted to know what kind of upbringing I had in small town Iowa,
Right.
farm boy kind of look. They wanted to know all of that. So they wanted to know that I used to lay block, and then I used to be a mud man for block layers, that I drove truck, that I was a carryout boy in a grocery store, that I had a paper route, and little old ladies would try and stiff me out of my 25 cents. They wanted to know all those things.
Why?
And
Why did that
I-
matter to them? They're in the stage of their life. Why
Well,
did
you're in their home, in their personal space. They want credibility that you're a real person, right? Kind of.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, no, but
Yeah.
it just strikes me as like they're dying, but yet that curiosity of another human being still exists for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and that connects to them. Many of it connects to how their life was. So if they were, I grew up as a rich kid with special types of shoes and went dancing everywhere and had a car by the time they were 16, driving around,
Right?
then that's a different environment to somebody who fought his way up from small town Arizona or small town Louisiana or whatever. So I think you're right. They just wanted to connect as much as possible, and I think they found things interesting.
But they were still curious. That's the thing. They were still they still possessed a curiosity about life and the here and the now. And I
Right.
think that's fascinating.
Well, they're still human.
They are, but no, but what I'm getting at is that they weren't just sitting there wallowing in their own whatever. They were still they still demonstrated caring for other people, even going through their worst stuff.
Sure.
Well, they wanted to connect to the person who was there for respite care. They wanted to feel like this is not a jerk. This person does care and wants to talk to me and will talk to me about anything I ask. And that was very important in the relationship that I would be able to establish with people. If they didn't want to talk, basically I would sit there reading a book for 3-4 hours until their true caregiver came.
Right.
And sometimes that was all they wanted. They wanted to say hello, and they were under sedation and they wanted to sleep, or they couldn't help but sleep. So the best part of that is I gave that caregiver a pause and the freedom to go do things away from being a caregiver and dealing with all the stacking of things that is involved being a personal caregiver to somebody who's dying that you care about.
Right. Well, and I think that curiosity, as you call it, Rod, is more interviewing for trust. You're in their home,
right.
You're at your most vulnerable in your life, and you want to trust that this person coming into your house is really the person that needs to be there, that you can trust, that you can respect. And the caregiver, as a caregiver myself, if somebody's coming into my house to take care of Janice, you're damn right I'm going to want to know who that is.
Well, okay.
And how they are and what they're doing. And I'm going to want to know what her thoughts are after that person's there.
Okay.
And how she feels about that person, too.
All right. That makes sense. But no, I just thought, they're going through their own personal thing, but yet this is what they're still curious about.
Sure.
That they haven't really let go of.
Building trust.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So,
well, and that would have been a thing for me. And I don't know, Dr. Laaveg, if you found that in other caregivers, it's like, I didn't even know respite care was a thing until she stopped all treatment and we started in-home hospice. And at that point, the hospice nurses that were coming in were mostly providing treatment care. They were providing pain care. They were providing, those kinds of things. And I most of the time I was still there when that was going on. But what I'm wondering is, did you find other caregivers that they wouldn't leave because they'd felt guilty if they're not there? The trust thing. Was it hard for them to walk away and go do something, even though they knew they had somebody there they could trust?
You mean
The
the
caregiver
person
themselves.
who was there as a, oh,
So like
oh
me,
yeah, that, oh no, many of them did initially until they established some rapport with whoever you are coming for respite care the first time or second time or third time, that they are comfortable with leaving their loved one with you, and that you actually are reasonable to be somebody who's sitting here that I can trust, and I can go
yeah,
away and have a freedom of being able to do that. So that goes back to the questions that whoever the person is who is under hospice care is interacting with their own personal caregiver. And I'm certain that they are discussing all the types of things that he or she was asking me.
sure. Oh, absolutely. So did you find, maybe since you're not on that end of it, maybe not, but do you suppose they found it difficult sometimes to sort of quote sell respite care to get people to actually um, sign on and do it because of that whole trust and guilt factor?
Um, I think all of that came into it. And that's why some patients were, when they were in a home hospice situation, uh, or their caregiver were resistant because they didn't know what's this mean. I mean, I didn't know what respite care meant for hospice, and as in listening to you, Rod, and to Chris, it didn't sound like either of you knew what respite care was in
Not at all.
hospice.
I wasn't this familiar with it. I mean, I knew of it and I had an idea of it, but I didn't know the extent of it.
Yeah, I didn't even know it
Yeah.
existed.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate. Would you,
Yeah.
Christy, would you have done things differently if you would have known about it?
I would like to believe I would have. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it would have really helped me.
Because your journey was a long one.
It was long, almost 5 years.
Yeah.
And I ran myself into the ground.
Right.
And like, I hit rock bottom because of it. And if I'd have had help earlier on, and had the right people to convince me that this was good help and to
Right.
take it, I really think that would have been helpful.
So respite care would have changed the course of your actions. And it makes me question, does respite care do that for families? Does it change the course or maybe make them decide to do different things because they have the help?
I got lost a little bit, but
So did I. That's what I'm just throwing it out there. But what I'm saying is like what because you offer this help, it changes maybe some things in their lives, maybe making it easier. Where Chris, his story was that he held it together for everybody else, and then he didn't
For myself.
for
at the end.
yourself. So I'm wondering
Yeah.
if having respite care would have changed the course, having that one decision where you would have done more self-care as a result of it that you didn't do.
Oh, that for sure would have happened. For sure, if I'd have had respite, I would have been able to take better care of myself and in turn take better care of Janice,
Right.
And then I also wonder if she would have felt better knowing that I was getting help as well and would have made things better for her.
Right. Right.
And I don't know.
agree with all of that.
And do you find that, have you found that as an experience with some patients?
After they got so that they established that you were going to be okay to be there with their loved one, then they appreciated the freedom to go away for those hours and do whatever they wanted to do, whether it was honestly sit on a park bench and listen to birds, but they got to be out of there, and they would come back and thank you a great deal. And there were no times. I mean, and then you talk about when can it work out the best, and they discuss their schedule, and I'd see if I could adjust mine to come in at a time that would work better for both the patient and for their caregiver.
Sure, that makes sense. See, and for me, I did have help. I mean, her mom and dad did live here in town. And so when I had to go
Yes.
to work, her mom would be here. Or when I had to go to a fire call, her mom would be here.
Yes. Yes.
And I felt okay about that, but I still felt so guilty leaving and then leaving that responsibility on her mother.
Right.
Yes.
If I'd had somebody else who was a volunteer or, doing that so that her mom could just sit and talk to her and hang with her, that would have
Yeah.
been so much better.
I'm percolating on this question because Chris is
Okay.
probably looking at me like, okay, he's thinking about something. He wants to do
Yeah, I can see the smoke coming out of your ears.
something. Okay, but it raises an interesting question: is the comfort of the patient knowing that the caregiver is cared for too? Because we've talked
Mhm.
about that end of life. I don't want my son looking at me going, or Dad, it's okay to go. I want to know that everything's okay, everything's in place, everything's going to be, and they're going to be fine. And I wonder if the
Mhm.
respite care does that to them, like a psychological thing, like he's going to be okay. Things are going to be okay. There's somebody taking care of him, too.
Sure.
Like that, and that gives comfort to the patient knowing that their loved one is also being taken care of.
I think many people felt that way. Others, it was just, oh, that guy's here again, and they're leaving. So the dynamic, the dynamic between uh, the patient and the caregiver of taking care of them or being available at home, and um, whether they're going to like it or not like it, it will evolve over time if the relationship between the respite caregiver and the patient is reasonable, or they're not in a decline either in terms of increasing pain or increasing anxiety.
Right.
And yeah,
Well, I think I'm just
so
coming to the party a little bit here because this respite care has a duality to it.
It does.
You're
Absolutely.
you're caring for a patient that's dying, but you're also,
yes,
I mean, I somehow in my mind it's coming across differently, but because
Okay.
from the person that's dying, they get comfort knowing that their person's being cared for, even though while they're getting cared for,
Right.
do you
yes.
Well, right.
do you
I
understand
mean,
where I'm going with it?
that's exactly right, because if your loved one's dying, they still love you and want you to be okay,
Right.
and then they know that you're killing yourself, almost literally, trying to take care of them,
But it
and
comforts
they
them to
don't.
know that the respite person there's a comfort there to them.
Right. Right. The respite care is as much is more for the caregiver than it is for the patient.
But the patient realizes that.
I would think most of them do. Maybe
Oh.
not all.
All right.
I mean,
People are people are people.
right? So true.
There's the
That's right.
takeaway statement. People are people are people. Absolutely. But I didn't know if that
Right.
made any sense. But it's just occurring to me like it gives
Yeah.
comfort to the person that's dying to know that their loved one is being taken care of, not just to go out and do something, but it goes beyond
Right.
that.
Yep.
You know.
Absolutely.
That everything's going to be okay when they're not here.
Yes.
That's where I was going with it, right? Because Jeff needed to know that I was going to be okay.
Right. So did Janice.
Yeah, they need to know that we're taking I have people around me that's going to support will support me, and I'm going to be okay.
Yep.
So
Yep. So did you ever have conversations with patients that you knew they didn't want the caregiver to know about?
The short answer is yes. The long answer is I would look them in the eye and say, "Oh, listen, if that's bothering you this much, then you need to talk to them about it. Uh,
Mhm.
I'm not going to talk to them about it." Uh, and we'd walk through that, and sometimes that worked, and sometimes it didn't. But I wouldn't lie for them.
right,
Sure. No, of course not. I just thought maybe you'd build that relationship with somebody that they trusted you so much that they would share with you something they wouldn't share with even their caregiver and
Well,
their loved ones.
that's often as they think that their illness, their dying, is causing such anguish to their caregiver and the person in their life that's important. They don't want that caregiver to have pain at all. So there may be things that they'll talk about in terms of that I really do have this problem in terms of how am I going to handle this and whatever, but I do not want to upset or make it increased worry for my person that I love who happens to be my caregiver. So sometimes that's a fence that's difficult to walk with and stay honest with both patient and with
Sure.
the caregiver.
But was it interpreted as were they thinking that they were being more of a burden, and so they didn't want to burden the caretaker with that information?
Um, well, they know the person who's caring for them, and if they know that that they really don't want to have that last treatment at all because they think that it's near the end and they don't want to go through whatever that treatment is. And the caregiver that is their loved one wants them to do that because they're pushing. This is especially true of family members who are not next to the home, who live in California and swoop in near the time of death often. And I'm not picking just on California, but basically remote family
Sure.
members who think, what do you mean you're not going to have a complete resuscitative effort for
Right.
dad? That type of thing.
Right.
So those conversations do go on. And it's pretty hard to sometimes
Yeah, I bet.
find a way to talk through it.
Right.
Well, but necessary.
Yep.
So,
Yes.
I guess my one last question is, what kind of background do you need to be a respite care volunteer?
You have to, it always helps if you have a little sensitivity. You need to be a person that actually cares enough to have empathy and can make a distinction between sympathy and empathy. And so that you can interact with both the patient that's in the hospice situation and the caregiver and understand both sides of it. You can have sympathy for people, but basically they need you to be empathetic. And the patient needs to know that you do care about them, you do understand that they're going through a difficult time, and the caregiver has questions. What do you mean? Do you think we ought to get another chest X-ray? Do you think that his cough it's getting worse? Do you think I need to call the doctor? And all those types of things go on all the time.
Sure, but you don't necessarily need to have a medical background. Like pretty much
No,
anybody with
no.
those traits could do this.
Yes. It helps to have a little medical understanding, obviously, but in general, the main thing are the capability as an individual to be able to be both sympathetic and empathetic. Probably more important to be empathetic
Sure.
and to be able to put the sympathy part aside so that you can actually help the patient without getting teary-eyed all the time. I will tell you a couple more interesting things. I
Okay.
learned a great deal about pets of people who were dying.
Yes.
Oh.
And I found it extremely interesting how many times that pet dog wouldn't leave the side of the person who was in bed or next to them. And the reports from staff many times were 1 minute before the patient died, the dog left and wouldn't come back in the room. That's very interesting to me.
Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah. I believe it though. Dogs are very aware of things that we're not aware of.
And cats.
Yeah.
Cats will do that in nursing homes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, they do. Absolutely.
They go lay on the person,
Mhm.
and I had cats, and a couple times the cats were laying on Jeff. He goes, "Should I be concerned?" It's like, "No, you're okay. You're okay." So, Dr. Laaveg, thank you very much. We've come to the end of our time, and so thank you very much. There's a lot of good information here, and we appreciate you giving us your time today.
Well, I'm happy to have done it.
Awesome.
Thanks.
You bet. Thank you. Well, Rod, that's another really interesting story. And it's something that I feel very passionate about because I feel like I missed out on it.
Right?
I didn't know respite care was a thing at all until the very, very end. And I just feel like, why didn't anybody tell me this was available and convince me to use it? because I think it would make a
Right.
huge difference. So if you're out there and you're caregiving, go ask somebody. Call hospice, even if you're not in hospice services, you can still call them and find out about it. You know, or
Absolutely.
talk to your doctor about it or something. But just shake those trees and do whatever you got to do to find out about respite care, because and regardless of the reason for end of life or and it's not even always for end of life. It could be for a chronic illness.
Yes.
That's going to go on for years.
Yes.
You know, or sometimes even one that you know they're going to recover, but they can get you respite care for even short periods of time to get through that.
Right. I think, Chris, respite care would have changed the course of your time. With
Absolutely,
everything.
it would have been.
I think mentally, it would have given you that break, and I think you may have caught things earlier and not gone a whole year. I think you would have been.
I think so too.
The process of
oh yeah,
you know, I just think it would have changed.
I think so too, and I think it would have been easier on Janice at the end too.
Yes, no,
because she knew what kind of stress I was on and how hard I was working and how bad things were for me, but. Well, that's what we could do about it.
Well, that's what I was trying to get at in the interview, was the fact that it comforted them to know that you were being taken care of as well as they were being care of.
Absolutely, because they're as worried about you as you are about them.
Exactly.
Otherwise, if not, why would you have gotten married in the first place?
Yeah, this is true.
Why would you be together? Whatever your status is, however you're together, that's why you're together.
So what was another takeaway from that interview that struck you? What struck you?
Well, it's interesting to hear a scientist and doctor talk about pets and how they react at the end. And we had 2 cats, and right before Janice went to hospice house and got that restlessness we've talked about right beforehand, she had been out in the living room sitting and had kind of ignored Janice all morning.
This is the cat.
The cat.
Okay.
The cat came in and sat down by her, and about 20 minutes later, she started getting restless, and the cat left.
Wow.
And so I don't know. Maybe I didn't, and I didn't even, that's something I didn't even remember until he started talking about it.
Right. But like when he talked about the dog, it's like, so I wonder what that is. Is it a smell? Is it a movement? Is it a breathing? What are they? What are the pets sensitive to? What are they picking up? That why aren't we studying?
Well, I think it's the same thing about dogs who know when a diabetic is about to go into a diabetic coma.
Right.
Right. It can alert them before they pass out and fall.
Or like before a tornado event, how the birds, everybody gets quiet. They're not out. They're not chirping. Everything gets really, really still. So you wonder, is it a barometric thing? Is it,
who knows? Yeah. But it's a thing. It's clearly a thing. Right?
It is a thing.
Yeah.
For lack of another word, it's a thing.
It's a thing. Yeah. Maybe pay attention to it.
Yeah. But no, I thought that was interesting, and he's very wonderful interview with him. So I appreciate him doing that for us.
I know. I really appreciated that. And like I said, if you're a caregiver, go find out about respite care.
Yes.
If you have somebody that has empathy and sympathy and have time, go find out if you can be a volunteer, because they're needed. They're absolutely needed, and they make such a huge difference. It's a great way to make a difference in somebody's life.
A true difference in their life, and how rewarding, knowing that you're there and helping a family through this very dark part of their time in their life.
Absolutely. So do that, and while you're doing that, get over to Chris. Or we'll get to the email at chris@forwardwellness4caregivers.com and let us know what you think about all of that. We love hearing the comments, and so we love to keep them coming in. And I guess until next week.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, I think we had another good show tonight. I think we nailed it. I think we got knocked it right out of the park.
Yeah, Rod, this is our circus, and we are our monkeys.
This is so true. I'm really looking forward to the next show. I don't know what we're going to talk about.
I am too, and I thought you were figuring that out, so I guess maybe I'll help you with that.
Let's talk about that. Absolutely. But I'm really looking forward to whatever we talk about. It will be hopefully it'll be helpful. And
it'll be fun.
It will be fun.
So
yes,
as
fun as grief can be.
Exactly. So do not miss next week.
No.